It's time for another edition of Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios at the Star in Frisco, Texas. I'm Bill Jones along with Nate Newton, Rick Goslin of the Dallas Morning News, and Daryl Moose Johnston as we get you set for Cowboys and Redskins, an NFC East battle on Sunday as the Cowboys get back on track. Coming off the bye week last week in San Francisco, a lopsided 40-10 win over the San Francisco 49ers. And as usual, we kick it off with opening statements from all three of our panelists here, starting with Moose.
Absolutely back on track. I think every question that you had going into the bye was answered against San Francisco. 265 yards rushing, Dak's involved. Beasley's involved, Witten, everybody's there offensively, 501 yards, almost 33 minutes of possession. So just a great day offensively and defensively.
And when you travel, you need a little bit of defense, especially some great situational defense. We had that with 5 sacks. We had a turnover on special teams. So when you travel, I'm a special teams defensive man, and great job.
Yeah, you've seen the formula. Run the ball, control the clock, win the game, go home.
That's what the Cowboys did against San Francisco. And now, though, the Cowboys get to the meat of the schedule because you got the Redskins this week, then you got Kansas City coming in here the following week, and then at Atlanta, and then Philadelphia. It gets very interesting here now. But let's go back to that Niners game, Daryl. And one of the things that the Cowboys were able to do, they were able to produce some touchdowns and get into the end zone.
Absolutely. And I was really concerned about this game. It was a winless San Francisco 49er team, and you just mentioned what's coming up for Dallas. So I thought the really impressive thing was to go out there and handle their business. Don't lose the game you were supposed to win. And they went back to exactly what Rick says, their method of how to move the ball effectively. And it was impressive. You don't see many 265-yard rushing days in the NFL.
You know, and I think one of the nice things is once the Cowboys get inside the 30, they 52% of the time they score touchdowns. And then when they get inside the 20, it goes up to about 66%. So the Cowboys did what they had to do offensively off a great special teams turnover.
Also, when you get inside the 5, just keep handing the ball off. Hand the ball off. No pass, just hand the ball off.
And speaking of that, with Zeke, it was the best and the most productive performance from a run game. How much of it, though, well, you have a great deal of respect for the 49ers. You saw them the week before against the Redskins, but it looks like this run game is now getting into gear.
It is, and it's a process that we've talked about all season long. You know, when you go through training camp, the way the NFL is structured today, one of the groups that suffers the most is the offensive line because they have to have physical practices. You can't get that during the course of training camp. How much time are you getting in the preseason? So I think we're coming into September trying to blend that chemistry in the offensive line, and here we are middle of October now, and they're finally starting to hit their stride, and I think that Nate was probably impressed with the decision at left guard and getting some stability there as well.
You know, Cooper did a nice job, man, of getting up on the next level to the linebackers. He pulled and got some nice kickouts, and just glad that they found the left guard.
Yeah, the more they give the ball to Elliott, the better he is. He's in that 26, 27 carry range. I want to see more. In Pittsburgh, Le'Veon Bell, 3 of the last 4 weeks, has gotten 30-plus carries. They've won all 3 of the games, and that's with Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. I think there's more for Elliott to give on this offense.
And how about the way Dak Prescott is playing? Another very solid game from him. Of course, coming off a Rookie of the Year performance last year. Last week we talked about MVP-type performances throughout the first 6 games of the season. The Cowboys sitting there at 3-3. Obviously, Dak's not in the MVP conversation. However, he's playing very well.
He really is. And again, I think it's that MO that Dallas has had last season, and he's playing off the strength of the running game, the play action. The impressive thing was how he distributed the ball against San Francisco. It was just the progressional reads that he had. He got everybody involved in it, whether it was Cole Beasley or Des Bryant. It's just, everything's starting to come together, and let's hope that they can carry this moving forward.
I agree with you 100%, man. He's looking nice. Just my hat's off to him.
Yeah, he's at his best when he's not forcing the ball to any one receiver, when he's going where the defense takes him. And you're not giving, Des 20 passes. You go where the open man is, complete the pass, keep the chains moving.
And playing against a rookie quarterback, making his first start last week. One of the keys, of course, getting to the quarterback. Cowboys are starting to show signs that maybe what's happened early in the season, getting to the quarterback, they've got more weapons to get to the quarterback with David Irving here now.
Well, especially getting him inside. I think that's a great place for him to be inside on those matchups. And sometimes you get that center guard area, and when you've got a very athletic, quick guy in that defensive tackle position, it's going to have benefits for you. But again, this was just such a complete game. We've talked about the offense. Now we have to get to the defensive side of the ball. They did a really nice job as well. And I watched C.J. Beathard against the Washington Redskins coming off the bench without any preparation. So I expected him to be even better against the Dallas Cowboys. So I credit that defense. And there was a couple of critical plays in that first half where, just some sack fumbles, a strip sack, and they're getting into the red zone. A big play on a 4th and 3 that really kind of flipped the momentum right when San Francisco looked like they were coming back.
Yeah, the strip sack by DeMarcus Lawrence late in the first half was a big play in that game.
And Tyrone Crawford is starting to pick it up a little bit. I see where he's setting the edge a little bit better against the run. He got a sack, and then he helped David Irving come around on kind of a late twist to get him a sack. So if these other guys can play off the double team of DeMarcus Lawrence, I think they can go far.
Yeah, this defensive line needs more games against the Giants, Cardinals, and 49ers.
Wow.
Leave it to Goose. Bring it all into perspective right there.
Just run the ball.
That's exactly right.
Ball,
How about the touchdown catch by Witten, the one-hand touchdown catch? What do you think of that?
It's impressive. He's done so many things throughout his career. I don't think we should be surprised in it, but that was really nice because that was good coverage. It was a well-placed ball by Dak Prescott. The only one who's going to get that is Jason Witten, but you're going to have to make a heck of a catch to pull that off, and we shouldn't be surprised. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And moving on up in the record books, as is Des Bryant, of course, matching Bob Hayes for the touchdown reception record in Cowboys history. We're just getting started here on Cowboys Insider. We got much to get to, including those Washington Redskins. We take an up-close look at the Redskins coming up next.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys, AT&T, mobilizing your world, and by Baylor Scott & White. We're changing health care for life. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
It was a hell of a job today. Hell of a job on offense, hell of a job on defense, hell of a job in the kicking game. Everybody picking each other up, playing the right way, playing with some heart, and having some fun playing football. Yes, sir. Having some fun playing football. Hell of a job, hell of a job.
A lot more fun playing football when you win 40-10 as the Cowboys did in San Francisco on Sunday. Welcome back to Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios. On Monday night, the Redskins did not have as much fun playing in Philadelphia. They fall 34-24. So now we go into this game on Sunday afternoon. The Cowboys and Redskins both with 3-3 records. 2.5 games behind the first-place Eagles in the NFC East. A very important game. You want to keep pace with the Eagles as much as you can. We'll have more on them coming up in just a little bit. But let's talk about the Redskins. And what better place to start than with Darryl Johnston, who did the Redskins-Niners game last week. Let's start with Kirk Cousins. How's Cousins looking?
He looks good. The big question is going to be the offensive line and the protection. I know it's not the Giants, the Cardinals, or the 49ers, but
it's Bill Callahan.
It is Bill Callahan, but Trent Williams, left tackle, banged up. Morgan Moses, right tackle, banged up. Brandon Sheriff, right guard, banged up. Spencer Long, center, banged up. The only healthy guy on that offensive line right now is Sean Laval, their left guard. So how do those guys play against Dallas when they're nicked up?
Well, they'll find a way to get that offensive line going. But you know what? Kirk Cousins can't depend on nobody but Crowder at the wide receiver position. He's got to get more help because Chris Thompson and Rob Kelly and Jordan Reed and all these guys are his best receivers. So it's going to be a good matchup this week.
Yeah, the big disappointment has been Terrell Pryor. I mean, he's a guy who had 1,100 yards at Cleveland last year. I thought it was a great signing. Big physical receiver with speed. He can replace Deshaun Jackson as your downfield threat. They've got virtually nothing out of Pryor this year. He's going to have a breakout game. Just you wonder if it's going to be this week.
And one of the things that the Cowboys tried to do in the offseason with these young cornerbacks that they drafted and so forth was try to get bigger, stronger at the corner position. But looking at what the Redskins did, acquiring Pryor, Alshon Jeffrey, and what the Giants have at wide receiver as well. What do you think's going on with Pryor and the Redskins?
I'm not really sure. I agree with Rick. I thought it was a good signing, but right now it seems like they've kind of morphed into an offense that relies on Chris Thompson out of the running back position and Jordan Reed and Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis is having a heck of a year. So we've seen the Patriots do this, just kind of, you know, whatever's working best for them, we're going to go that way. And you're seeing Kirk Cousins lean on the tight ends and the running backs as opposed to the wide receivers because they're struggling.
One thing that was very impressive early in the season from the Redskins, and we talked about it, was the way the defense was playing. I mean, the game against Kansas City, very strong. They've got injury issues not only at on the offensive line, but also on defense as well. We'll see if Josh Norman plays this week. He's missed the last couple of games with a fractured rib. He's got to play this week because of the marketing thing with him and Dez, right? He's got to play against Dez.
Yeah, he's got to play, but you know what? Terrell McClain is a big find for them because they're missing Jonathan Allen at the defensive end. So, you know, and Kerrigan, what I'm worried about is Kerrigan moves inside, so he may move in on our left guard. So that's a matchup to watch.
Yeah, they're a top 10 pass rush as well. I mean, they're going to get after the quarterback, and with Josh Norman, I think you're going to see the pass rush dial up a little bit here.
Preston Smith is off to a heck of a start. The guy on the opposite side of Ryan Kerrigan. So he's had a good year so far.
But they did lose Jonathan Allen, the rookie out of Alabama. He's out for a good spell here. All right, we continue here on Cowboys Insider in just a moment as we take an up-close look at Jeff Heath, kicker Jeff Heath. But he's no longer a kicker. The details next.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage. This segment is brought to you by DraftKings. Play for free today at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site.
You know, that was the most fun I've had playing football in a really long time. And, you know, we kind of prepared for something like that last year, one game, and, you know, I never really thought that I was going to really have to do it in a game, but Chris and LP, you know, they could probably tell I was a little nervous, so they just did a really good job calming me down. And then, you know, the kickoffs I didn't even know where the ball was going to go. So, my guys did really good, you know, going down and covering for me, so it was just a lot of fun.
That was one of the best things Jeff Heath did in that game on the kickoffs as he filled in for Dan Bailey, who goes out with a groin injury in the first half of the 40-10 win over the 49ers. As we're welcoming you back here to Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios. Let's talk about this kicking game because this is going to be, or potentially is critical, especially over the next 4 weeks. Jason Gary said earlier this week they expect Dan Bailey to miss at least the next 2 weeks. Groin injury for a kicker, that is problematical. Jeff Heath came through in a big way, though, the other day.
Yeah, it was impressive. I mean, it's not an easy thing anymore, an extra point. So it's kind of a short field goal in today's game with the rule changes and everything. So I was impressed with what he did, and the kickoffs too. You know, he had one that kind of was a knuckleball, but he drove the ball deep down the field. So that's pretty impressive for a guy to just step into that situation. You could hear how nervous he was, but he did a good job.
Hats off to him. I know I couldn't do it.
It's old hat, though, for Heath, right, Goose?
Yeah, he's done this in high school. He kicked in high school, but this is nothing new. I mean, Jerry Kramer was an all-decade guard who plays kick. Lou Groza. Once upon a time, these guys were the position players, were the punters and kickers.
Square toe shoe day.
Millennials don't know who these guys are.
Well, they know Pat Summerall. Pat Summerall was a position player and a kicker.
Pat Summerall. Ever heard of Pat Summerall, Nate?
Yeah, I've heard of him, but Luke Groza.
He's the guy that does play-by-play in Madden.
Exactly right. All right. So let's talk about this issue. Mike Nugent, 13 years in the league now, former second-round draft pick out of Ohio State. Most recently, well, he was cut by the Giants in camp, and he was with the Bengals the last several years. Struggled at the end of last year with the Bengals. This could be big, though, going forward. Some close games, obviously, coming up.
Exactly. We've talked about this schedule and how tight these games could be, and it could come down to kickers. So we've seen a couple of teams struggling this year with kickers. We had Tampa Bay the last few weeks. They've been trying to get that figured out since 2016. So Dan Bailey is just one of those guys you take for granted when he's on the field, and as soon as you lose him, you're like, wow, what are we going to do now?
The teams that we're going to face are going to score. And you know it's going to come down to that last possession again, of trying to eat up the clock and close the game out, and sometimes closing the game out as a field goal kicker. And I hope he can do the job. I really do. Yeah,
I agree. These next two games that Bailey's going to miss, I mean, Dan Bailey was automatic. You sent him out there and he had inside the 50, 55. He was going to come back with points. You don't know that now, and at Washington, home against Kansas City, you're going to need your kicker to hit his kicks.
I mean, even on extra points, Mike Nugent at the end of last season, I think he missed 5 extra points in the last 5 games he kicked with the Bengals last year. All right, we continue here on Cowboys Insider. In a moment, we go around the league. And could the Rams, Todd Gurley and the Rams, have the best offense in the NFC?
This segment was brought to you by DraftKings. Play for free today at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site.
Time to go around the league here on Cowboys Insider as the Cowboys at 3-3 take on the 3-3 Redskins on Sunday. And leading the NFC East, the Philadelphia Eagles, who are playing as well as anybody in the league right now, and coming off that win over the Redskins on Monday night. And how about the way Carson Wentz is playing? He put on a show on Monday night, Darryl.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the one he had to the running back in the right corner when he stepped up in the pockets, got guys in his face. I don't even know how he. I mean, you know where everybody's going to be, but to be able to turn, find him, and then put the ball in a great location where there's no chance for an interception, he's playing at an extremely high level.
Well, and the thing about him coming out of North Dakota State, you didn't know he had all of those tangibles, but you didn't know what kind of a playmaker he was. And that play right there, I think showed that what kind of playmaker Carson Wentz is.
His strength, man, just his overall strength, and he'll run the ball, man. I want him to learn how to slide because guys are taking shots at him on that sideline. They trying to get him. Yeah.
You look at the 2 best teams in the NFC right now, Philadelphia, Rams, the 2 teams that traded up to get the quarterbacks for those first 2 picks.
Yeah.
This is all about quarterbacks in this league.
And speaking of those Rams, you'd look at the top offenses in the league, and they've got the mix of the run and the pass now with Todd Gurley playing very well, too.
Gurley's off the chain. I mean, he's making everything happen. Like I said, I saw him 2 years ago over at Valley Ranch. He's got the build, he's got the size, and now he's got the confidence. And he's running with it, whether you throw it to him or can hand it to him off the backfield. Man, he's making things happen.
And he's done for Goff what Elliott has done for Prescott. When you're running the ball, you're a better quarterback. You got the play action pass game going. You got the safeties back. You got a little more time in the pocket. I think Goff has taken a big step, and I think Todd Gurley has been a big part of that.
Yeah, it's amazing with the impact that McVay and LaFleur have made out there with the Rams. I mean, it's basically the same personnel as last year, but just the belief in the system that they have, there being an offensive-minded staff, just unbelievable how they're playing.
And how about the NFC North now with the Aaron Rodgers injury? It is wide open, and you got the Vikings with the injury issues they've had, the quarterback position. We'll see if Teddy Bridgewater makes it back. He's getting back in practice anyway, but they're piecing it together, and they're up there leading the division.
All they need is a quarterback to make sure the right guy get the ball because Zim got these guys playing across the board. The offensive line is playing nice. Their running game is still surviving.
Even though they lost Dalvin Cook.
Oh, man, they own and popping.
Yeah, they're leading the division with their second choice of quarterback and their second choice of running back. You know, I think it's going to come down to Detroit with the quarterback or the Vikings with the defense. Which one do you like?
And how does it happen 2 years in a row? I mean, last year it's the quarterback and the running back go out last year. This year the same thing happens again. So the resiliency, and I agree, you know, this is a team built around defense. So, good play at the quarterback, get an established run game and lean on that defense.
And Darryl's got Carolina and Tampa Bay this week. But how about the Saints and Drew Brees? He's got it going on.
Everybody chasing that team in that division. And again, we've always known what the Saints are offensively. You don't have to worry about anything there. But it's the defense this year that's really been the big difference maker. And they went out and got the #1 middle linebacker in free agency in A.J. Klein. They drafted the #1 cornerback in a lot of people's evaluation in Marshawn Lattimore. Dennis Allen's done a heck of a job. They've got a good defensive line. They were just beat up last year. They're healthy and they're playing well.
And Atlanta is, of course, the defending NFC champion at 3-3, same record as the Cowboys through 6 games of this season. All right, we continue on Cowboys Insider in a moment. Keys to a Cowboys victory against Washington in a moment.
Cowboys Insider, presented by Baylor Scott & White, was brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Rico's, make every game a home game with Rico's. Baylor Scott & White, it's easy to find the right doctor right now at BaylorScottandWhite.com. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' films and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Final couple of minutes here of Cowboys Insider inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios at the Star, and it is the Cowboys and the Redskins. 3:25 kickoff on Sunday, and time for our keys to a Cowboys victory. We start with Darryl.
It's going to be important for the linebackers and the safeties to play well this weekend. Chris Thompson, Vernon Davis, and Jordan Reed in the passing game. If they match up well there, they got a good shot.
Jameson Crowder's turned it over 3 times on special team punt return. They got it back last week. But you know what? Our guys got our previous team and got a turnover. So that's where we can win it at on special teams.
Forget about defense. Run the ball.
We started.
You let Elliott carry the ball 30 times. You got the clock for 35, 36 minutes. You won't have to worry about your defense.
And by the way, that Ezekiel Elliott hearing is on Monday afternoon in New York, so we'll see if we have Zeke going forward. You get more fired up when the Cowboys play the Redskins. You started your career with the Redskins,
I'm
Nate.
glad they cut me. Thank you. Appreciate you, baby.
Wouldn't have been a Cowboy if he.
Right.
See how things work out for
yes,
Nate.
sir.
All right, we appreciate you joining us here for Cowboys Insider. For Darryl Johnston, Rick Goslin, and Nate Newton, I'm Bill Jones, and we will see you again next week right here on Cowboys Insider.